Okay, how do you improve at playing offense in midair? Well, number one, start learning routes. If you're playing offense at the moment and all of your offense consists of just going down mid and clearing, or trying to clear every single run, you should probably learn how to run a left and a right route well on every single map. You just want to practice these couple of routes, so you can grab consistently on them. You don't want to be trying to improvise too hard. You don't want to have to be trying to do something different every run. You just want to run the route, come in, be a grab threat every single run. So if you're running the routes and you're consistently a grab threat, you're always going to be able to grab the flag. You need to start thinking about whether you should be grabbing the flag. So what are some situations you might not want to grab the flag? If you're first in, or even second in, and you know you've got a third player coming behind you on a route, then you might want to think about whether you should be grabbing that flag or not. If you're spotted by the enemy, you probably don't need to grab that flag. If you're walking into 5 people on stands staring you down and your route's not that fast anyway, you probably don't need to be grabbing that flag and putting it off of the stand. If you put a flag onto the ground next to the stand, all of a sudden that flag can be almost impossible to grab on your next offense run. So you need to be conscious as to whether the grabs you're doing make any sense at all. If you think you can grab and you think you can get home, that's the correct time to grab. If you think there's a good chance that that grab immediately dies, then just don't grab the flag. So what are some things that are going to help you get more consistent grabs, or help your teammates get some more consistent grabs? Well, you want to be in sync with your offense. So what do I mean by this? I just mean you want to be arriving at stand at the same time, or if you're already at stand, you want to be staying alive as other routes come in. So if I'm on a left route, I want to be arriving at the same time as another route, preferably on the opposite side of the stand, comes in. If I'm off sync, I want to be not going in and immediately dying if they see me. I don't want to be dying immediately. I want to be stopping, and I want to be living until another route comes in, and I want to be clearing for that next route coming in. Absolutely do not want to be just running my route incredibly off sync, going straight at the stand, going straight into a defender's face, and dying immediately before another route comes in. That is key. You want to be there at the same time as your other offense. What are some ways you can do that? Well, if you know you have a guy who's always running long routes and you're always really late for them, you can go to whatever your left and right route is. This works for most routes in the game. You can hover in the air above your last bowl. You don't need to drop immediately into it. You can just spend your jets and then drop in late to buy a bit of extra time, and then come in on your route. You'll be a tiny bit slower, but it doesn't really matter as long as you're coming in close to the timing as another player. If you're not confident doing that, you can just wait and spawn. You can wait and spawn a few seconds. Normally, like, if someone's running a really long route and you know you're always like 4 or 5 seconds behind them, you can just wait and spawn for 4 or 5 seconds. Help your defenders spot, if there's someone already in, you can put a bit of damage on them, and then you can just leave on your route. And you should arrive pretty much in time with your guy coming in. I'll show you. So, I've got my guy leaving on his long route. I see him. I've waited a few seconds in spawn. Now I'm going to go on my route. And hey, look, we're in sync. Easy as that. Doesn't need to be overcomplicated. If you're always arriving late, it's as easy as communicating to your team that, hey, you might need to slow down on your routes. You might need to extend your route. You might need to live, because I'm going to be late on this run. Okay, so we're in sync now. The other thing I'd consider key, which I kind of mentioned in the middle there, is trying to run routes that come from differing directions. You don't want all three of your offense all on right routes in a line coming into the stand. Call that crossing routes. Basically it means, I can show you again with it, if I see my guy leaving on a right route, I want to be running a left route so that I'm coming from a different direction to him. Yeah, I've waited in spawn a bit, now I go on my left route. Coming in sync, and we're from crossing directions. Makes it much harder for the defenders to get an eye on both your cappers coming in. Makes it much more likely one of you is unspotted or gets out undamaged if you come in from different directions like that. One thing you might have seen me there, I'll show you. See me do there, I'll show you again. It's going on a right route again. Okay, so you can obviously see your teammates' IFFs. You should get used to looking around and looking at where your teammates are. And a good rule of thumb, and something you might hear people calling, is that they're dropping on their routes. By that they mean they're dropping into their last bowl. If you look at when your teammate drops into his bowl and just drop at the same time, you should be relatively synced up with them for the most part. Okay, the last thing probably would be that you want to be meeting your cappers, and you want to be expecting meat from your cappers. What do I mean by that? So, if you're on offense and someone gets out with the flag, the general split of positioning you want to be doing is you want to have one guy who stays by the enemy stand and keeps pressure on, and you want to be one guy meeting the guy who gets out with the flag. But meeting the flag coming home is generally the much more important part of that. So if someone touches your flag and you're at all unsure about what you should be doing, good call is just to respawn. Respawn immediately, meet him coming home, be ready to take a pass from him if he's taken down. This lets your D players focus on playing D if the flag is still at home. Even if the flag's not still at home, it lets your home D player either be helping with the chase, or it lets your home D player be helping with cleaning up any enemies left in base, while your offense deals with making sure that the flag actually arrives at base. Fine. If you've both respawned, it's not a big deal. You can just run a quick route as the guy who's not meeting. That works perfectly fine for keeping pressure on the other side of the field. You don't need to be just sitting on the enemy stand waiting for that camp. You can just run a quick route instead. It's perfectly viable. That might be pretty much it. Obviously, once you can consistently run a basic left and a basic right, you can start expanding the number of routes you run. You can start being more of that grab threat on more difficult or tricky routes. But you can definitely get by on offense if you just run a basic left and right and you just follow these few things to think about.